triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Perdue.
Hey, come on. It's time for us to get started. Time to get some motivation and inspiration. Time for us to get fired up. And again, during the podcast, grab a big old gold nugget that you can use that when you go through your next challenges can help you get through it. And do not take it to the grave with you. Share it. Give it out. Show someone else that they can do the same thing. Grab your cup of coffee, cup of joe. Actually, I like the old hot chocolate. And also, I would go for the old Zero Coke or Pepsi or Sprite that's what I would grab. But I know I should be grabbing water, but that's beside the point. Grab your favorite beverage. Hang in. We got a story of success and survival. Today, we're going to be talking to a woman with a breast cancer survivor, and she is the author of the book, The Mastectomy. But the title says The Mastectomy I Always Wanted. Erica Newbert Campbell, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. What an enthusiastic and energetic introduction. I loved it. You don't need any more coffee. You got enough energy.
I hear you. Yeah. So we're done for today. She gave me the best compliment I could have. All right, everybody, enjoy the pot. No, I'm serious. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. I appreciate the comment and everything. So we'll go from there. We'll use that. But I'm glad you're here. We both did what's called perseverance. This is our fourth try to get everything going. And we both, what they would say in the South, we hung in there like a hair in a biscuit.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We hung in there like a loose tooth.
We are resilient and full of perseverance together.
There we go. And since you said perseverance, of course, I try to tie you up into it. But let me give you a fist bump.
Ooh, I love it.
All right, Erica. All right. Hey, thank you for being here. Appreciate it and everything. And I'm excited about hearing your survival story and what's been going on. So pretty much you're the star of the show. You give us the lead. You put us where you think we need to jump in, and we'll just follow your lead.
Wonderful. Well, if we want to talk about perseverance, I feel like I have had quite the journey of perseverance. As you opened up, I am a breast cancer survivor, but I do think that's only like this part of the journey, and there's a lot before and there's a lot after. And I do, but the reason I love this podcast is because to get from here to here, does require a lot of grit and resilience and perseverance. So let me start you back here, maybe perhaps about 20 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she went through an incredibly challenging battle. And I would say she relapsed 4 times before she passed away from breast cancer. And it was a time where I spent a lot of my own love, time, and energy in trying to save her, to be totally transparent. And, unfortunately, as I mentioned, she passed away. But one of the things that not only was I grieving that loss of, someone I loved so dearly, but what crept in was fear. And it was the fear that I would get breast cancer just like her someday, right? And that is a fear that gets into your mind and slowly builds over time. So during that time, I went through lots and lots of advocacy for myself to make sure that I got early screenings and mammograms and all the things. But I will tell you, doctors would say, no, you're fine. You don't have any additional risks. Don't you worry. And yet I still always felt that fear that would come every time I would get tested. Well, sure enough, 15 years after my mother was diagnosed, I got that phone call. The one that everybody dreads. It was, a few days after I had had a biopsy on a tumor in my breast. And, you're anxiously waiting for that phone call. That feeling, that
Oh, that'd
wait.
be a long 2 days.
Oh my gosh. It was like 4. And so 4 o'clock on a Friday, I get that phone call. I can see it's the physician.
Oh,
And
now I would hate to be a doctor having to call at 4 o'clock on a Friday. I'd be going, let's wait till 8 o'clock in the morning Monday. So let her have a better weekend.
I know.
That's what I would be thinking. I mean,
Yeah.
2 more days is not going to make that big of a difference.
Oh,
No,
well,
I
I have been
wouldn't think.
sitting on
I wouldn't
pins.
think. I mean, maybe it was some aggressive one that every hour counted. I don't know. But I think I would have gave you the 2 extra days,
That's why you're so kind. And when I picked up the phone, the doctor did not say hello. He said, "Are you sitting down and do you have a pen?" And that is not how you want to start that conversation,
no.
right? And so obviously I heard the words, I have breast cancer, and all of the emotions started flooding back in, not only for my own health, but all of the, I would basically call a grief hangover from my mother. And that's really where the incredible amounts of resilience and perseverance really had to take root.
Well, once you heard that, everything you lived through with your mother, you're going, now I got to do all this. Whether it's the same thing or not, maybe you had a better attitude than she did. I don't know. Maybe you had a more piss poor attitude and you think things are worse. But you had your mother as a guideline what to expect, whether that happened
Yeah,
or not. But that's what you're anticipating. So
absolutely.
isn't it same shame that I don't care what cancer, colon, skin, breast, testicle, whatever, I don't care. Isn't it amazing that one word throws all of us out of here, you know, just to hear the word cancer, the C word.
Yep.
And we just explode. I was told a few years ago I had colon cancer, and it ended up being a false positive from the
Oh my,
test. So, but they had to go through all that. But my doctor had a great plan set up with him and other doctors, and uh, they went and did the real search and found one polyp. That was it. So,
wow.
but it was a false positive from the other test. But yeah, it's like your doctor when he said, sit down, piece of paper. My doctor, I've had him for 45 years. He just retired a few years ago, and
Wow.
I remember when he called and he goes, well, the test come back, you have cancer. Then he goes, oh, but your other tests first here look real good. I guess they're supposed to lead off with the good stuff and then break into bad. And I guess he remembered that then. And so, I'm sorry, I'm stealing your show, but
Oh, you're right.
when we hear that C word,
Yeah.
boy, that just throws us. And first thing comes out of her. I don't know about everybody else. For me, first thing is it's terminal. Let's move on and say I love you to most people and do the best we can. Let's go. And not thinking
Yeah.
the good outcome. We always think of the bad outcome.
Right. Yes. I mean, in the absence of all the information, right when you hear those words, you have cancer, your mind just goes into all those dark places. So in the absence of information, you assume the worst. And that's obviously what is very normal and natural. And it becomes a mind game. It's obviously a physical
Yeah.
diagnosis, but it becomes a mind game. And you talked about attitude. I had to make some really intentional choices about how I looked at this and how I thought about it too.
And sometimes you got to make fast decisions.
Yes.
A lot of times, medically, we have time to think and go over and get better prepared. But, you may have to make a quick decision and hope it's the best decision, right decision for you. But yeah, yep, from there. Yeah, you're right. So you got to make decisions that, and it's a good thing that we have our doctors and nurses and we have mom and other people we know that we can talk to help come up with this decision that we don't have to lean on our own. And for ones that do have to lean on their own, I pray for you to have a better support group. So,
Absolutely. I always talk about that. When you sit down with a physician, especially in these situations, they do this every day. They do it all the time. And so, it's somewhat routine or somewhat familiar to them. But for you as a patient, it's the first time you're hearing these things. And sometimes you only spend 15 minutes with a doctor, right?
Oh yeah.
20, 30 is like just a dream. And, there's so many decisions you have to make and so much trust you need to put in other people that you've just met. It's really quite a fascinating process to go through.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely, yeah. If you don't have a support group now, anybody listening, work on getting someone, your own family. If for some reason you can't trust them, a good friend, get a minister, a preacher. If you're not one that goes to church or whatever, find somebody, some type of mentor. We have all this information on the end of our tip of our fingers. Get on the computer and find a support group for whatever you're going through. It doesn't have to be cancer, whatever you're going through. Find a support group that you can trust. So.
Yeah, that I agree with you, because when you're newly diagnosed, it's incredibly lonely. Typically you don't know someone else who's been through the same thing, but there are many people out there, like you said, that are there to help. And in fact, that's kind of the way I view it now. I'm on the other side. I have made it through this journey, and there is nothing I enjoy more than supporting someone else who's at the start of that journey, right? I feel an incredible responsibility to pay it forward. And I think that's the beauty of life, is that, you are not alone, and there are so many people that want to walk beside you and support you. And so, yes, I agree with you. If you are newly diagnosed or you know someone, get a support group, whether it's an individual or a group. There are so many resources out there. Totally agree with you.
So when you got your diagnosis and everything, these treatment they set up, so what was part of the treatment of give everything, and how long did everything take place before they finally said, "Hey, you're looking good"?
Yeah. So really interesting,
I was going to say I could probably guess by the title of your book what part of the treatment was. And again, title of his book, "The Mastectomy I Always Wanted" by Eric
yeah,
and Newbert Campbell. So I see part of the treatment I can understand, but I'm sure it
yeah,
wasn't only part of the treatment.
yeah. The interesting thing is, towards the end of my mother's life, she had a medical file that looked like, one of those like Lord
Oh
of the
yeah.
File tomes, real thick. And it was the middle of the night, and one young physician came in and he was looking through it, and he went, interesting. And he said, if your mother had had a mastectomy at the start of her journey, she may not be on her deathbed today.
Hmm.
And that sort of hits you, right? I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
I know that's trying to be a helpful comment, but it caused a lot of regret and a look in the rearview mirror of the choices that we made.
But I don't know if that would have been it's a conversation piece I would have brought out to you.
Right.
You know,
I know.
what your mother should have done or what I think she should have done has nothing to do with you.
Right.
And, because you went through, you lived everything with your mother and
Yeah,
and then you're going, oh shit, I don't want to be like that, or,
exactly.
so yeah, I don't know if that was a good topic beginning starter piece or
Yeah.
not.
I
So,
do think this was like the night shift. This was like probably the new intern who, like, was
yeah,
unsupervised and probably a little bit green. So,
his
I give him a lot of credit.
second day there and thinks he knows all of it.
I think it
Oh,
was all of it. I
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
But it's so, I wish that comment hadn't happened, but I will say that for the many years that it stung, right? It really stung long after she passed. But I always said to myself, okay, well, if I ever get diagnosed myself, I will make a different decision. And, typically, depending on the diagnosis, but typically in a breast cancer diagnosis, a doctor will offer you two options, those choices you have to make. One is what they call a lumpectomy, which is they just take out the tumor. They take out the
Uh-huh.
lump, just sort of
Yep.
like taking out a little circle around it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually not that hard to do. Or you can have a double mastectomy, which is a removal of your breasts. And of course, that is extremely hard to do, extremely painful, but there is no chance of recurrence because you cannot relapse with breast cancer if you don't have breasts anymore. It's like if you
If they're
cut off
not
your
there
arm,
anymore.
you can't
Yeah.
get arm cancer in your arm. So I'd always said that when it was if I ever got diagnosed, that's the choice I would make.
Let me ask this
And
question here real quick. What's the percentage mama having breast cancer that you're going to have breast cancer?
such a great question. Originally, doctors said I had the same risk, same probability as any
Yeah.
other human, any other woman. So right now in this country, 1 in 8 women will get diagnosed with breast cancer. So if you know
Okay.
8 women, one of them is probably going to get diagnosed.
Yeah.
Really terrible. But so every time I would go to the doctor, they would say, you're still 1 in 8 chance, 1 in 8 chance. And I thought, yeah, but with my mother's history, don't I have a higher risk? And so that was always what
That's what I would think, because you inherited her genes.
Exactly.
So I would thought that would play a bigger part than just 1 in 8 by a study.
Right. This is why you and I probably don't have our, our MD, our doctor's, sort of certificate. But I
Hey,
thought the same
speak for
thing too.
yourself. I have a doctorate.
Oh, that's right. You do.
But mine, I can't write out a prescription or anything. So, but I can drive you to your pharmacy if you need me to. So
There you go.
mine's in education, not medical. So everything I'm saying for everybody, from my personal experience, my mom went through cancer and stuff. So it's just my personal experience, nothing medically proved. Don't listen to me. I mean, well, listen to the podcast, but don't listen to me on medical advices, because I'm a doctor in that area. So,
right.
All right.
Same. But I pretended to be one, right? Because I thought I have a higher risk
Well,
than
no,
other
you
women.
didn't pretend to be one. When something like that happened, when I was diagnosed and thought I had colon, now I'm studying up to find out what I need to do. And I'm sure you became a doctor in your own mind because you study it enough now, and you knew just as much as they knew. So once we learn something bad, what can we do to fix it? What can we do? And if it can't be fixed, what I need to do to prepare.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why, the interesting title of my book, The Mastectomy I Always Wanted, is because I always wanted to rewrite the story. I always wanted to redo the choices that my mother had made, so that if it ever came for me, I would have a different ending. And so that was a really powerful choice that I had to make in my mind. I chose to reframe the whole thing as like, okay, I have my own diagnosis. I have my own story here, and I'm going to choose to do the harder option, which is that double mastectomy. I'm going to choose it, and I'm going to tell myself that it's something I always wanted, right? And because it was really a great way to reframe something really, really, really challenging. Like, it was a super challenging surgery, a super challenging recovery. But if I could reframe it for myself that it was my choice and it was something that I always wanted, I could approach it with a better mindset and have a better outcome. And I do think, cancer, I said earlier, is obviously a physical ailment, but it is a mental game where that's the thing you can control the most. And that's what I talk about often, is how much you could control the choices that you make and the ways you think about things and the way you reframe it.
just a few podcasts back, I can't remember the guy's name. Sorry about that, dude. But he had survived cancer twice. But his big thing, he did the triathlon stuff, biking so many miles, running the marathon, swimming so many miles. I think he said one time it took 17 hours to get through everything he did in one day. And he said building up for that training is what he used mentally to prepare for what he needed to do to beat the cancer. So when you're talking, it's a mental game. It is definitely a mental. Again, the better mentally we can stay strong and positive than going, oh me, now what's today going to be like? Well, today's going to be crappy if you're already feeling crappy.
Yeah.
So not to mean whatever you're going through is not going to get any better, but it's going to take, to me, a little longer on you than doing the best. And no, you don't have to be happy about what you're going through.
Yeah.
But it's at the point where you have to accept it. And now let's move on and do the best we can.
Yeah. And it's really interesting. Someone made a comment. They're like, Erica, you sound so confident and strong. And the truth is, I wasn't as I was going through it, right? I am
Ah,
now,
okay.
right? And so I just want to be really honest in that I still had dark days. I had some
Oh,
really
yeah,
dark
yeah, yeah,
moments.
yeah. Yeah.
And I write about this in my book, right? And I'm super vulnerable about really like the uh the darkness that I was kind of going through, because every woman has that, or every cancer patient has that. But there's one story, and it's kind of the reason I wrote this book. And it's the first chapter of the book. It tells the story of, I was working at the time, and I had to go into a team meeting and tell everybody the news and tell them I was going to take off a lot of time to have this double mastectomy. So I'm crying in the meeting and the whole thing. And afterwards, there's a woman who's totally new in the office, right? I don't know her very well. She's just joined the team, and she pulls me aside and she whispers, "I had the same diagnosis and surgery 5 years ago." I was like, "Oh, wow. Okay." And she said, "Do you want to see my breasts?" And I was like, this is work. This is professional. I don't know you. You're a stranger. And yes,
I tell
right?
you what, you did it too professionally. I'd be going, hell yeah. Okay, but I'm a man, I know. But okay, no, I understand what you're saying. I
Yeah,
just don't. I turn down an offer like that.
there you go. I know.
But I understand you're in the professional setting.
In
Got to get
professional
take care of
setting.
right. I
Yeah.
get you. Okay.
Yeah. And, so we go off to a bathroom off the beaten path, lock the door, she takes off her shirt, and she has this reconstructive breast, fake breasts.
Uh huh.
They look so real. Her scars are so faint, I can barely see them. And
Okay.
I'm literally looking at this like, are you for reals? Like, is this what I'm going to be like in 5 years later? And she said, yes. And it was such a gift, because I expected to be, deformed, to look terrible, to
Mm-hmm.
have these scars. It gave me so much hope. It
Oh
honestly,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
complete, like I said, I was in some dark places, and this was this one moment that picked me up a little bit out of it, and it gave me a vision. It gave me okay, I am going to have to go through some really hard stuff. Check, got that. But I know now, because I've seen it with my own two eyes, that it's going to be okay, and I'm going to look okay in the end. And that to me was that was a milestone that changed the rest of the journey.
Yeah, I can see that. So,
Yeah,
and
it
then
really did.
I would imagine she became part of your support staff.
Yes.
I
Yep.
mean, because she's been through it, and now
Exactly.
you have questions you can ask her if she experienced the same thing.
Exactly.
Now, look,
And
I got a couple of questions here. The
yeah,
mastectomy, was there any other treatment? You had to do the chemo, radiation, whatever? I don't know everything they do today, or was the mastectomy and it was done with?
it was the mastectomy and it was done with, because,
Okay.
and this is what I will always say, if you are a woman and you've been putting off your mammogram, do it now, because they caught mine really early. And if they catch it early, you don't necessarily have to try some of those other things like chemotherapy and radiation. And so I really I advocate so hard for early detection. And, of course, there are people that, it's still too advanced and they have to face those things. But I had seen chemotherapy from my mother. I had
No,
seen
me too with
radiation
my
from
mom. Yeah.
my mother, and I know how hard it is. And so anything you can do to advocate for yourself to get early screenings, mammograms, early detection, please do it. That's my must
Yes.
must PSA for women.
I'm so huge on the early detection. Go get looked
Yep,
at often as possible and have the test. And if doctors hem haul, demand it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep,
You're not feeling right. Something's not up. I want to get so I know what's going on. And if they go, well, no, I'm the one that's feeling this. So
yeah,
yeah, I understand. My mom, 25 years ago, went through lung cancer and stuff with the radiation, chemo, which is one of the two. And here she is 25 years later, 85 years old. Uh, but now she's 85 with dementia,
mhm,
but
sorry.
still 85. And we can talk about everything 50 years ago, but if mentioned some 5 minutes ago, she done forgotten it. But other than that, she still, gets out and go to the store and dress and
Yeah,
stuff. And and so I moved her in with me now. Just she can't remember to take care of herself, but she can still do everything else with it. But yeah, so that's also that was wondering about the treatment, and then I was going to. Well, I answered a bunch of it with the reconstruction uh, of the breast and everything, and so because I was going to ask about, just cutting it off, and did what question I was going to ask until you told me about the other woman was, does that take you as a female femininity away? Do you go, I'm just not a woman anymore? And of course, get the reconstruction. Now you're going, hey, I'm better than I was. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah. And absolutely. I mean, as much as you don't want to admit it, that's females, your breasts are part of your identity as a woman. And, I do say that I had reconstruction, and it took a long time. So I actually started off flat, and they
mhm.
slowly sort of, again, not to get too, I'll give you the non-technical version. They'll put essentially like a deflated balloon underneath your skin during the initial
Well,
surgery,
they got to stretch the
and
skin
then they got to
and
stretch it
grow that
and grow
and
it.
stretch it. Yeah, I mean, I've seen other things. I used to teach science and saw how they grow a new nose to put on people,
Yeah.
and they may take their nose off and then twist it up and sew it up here top of their forehead to keep the nerves all blood still going to here. Fix whatever they get done, then go in and redo that, twist it back down, and they got a new nose. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
I
so
mean,
yeah, I can understand that they would somehow stretch breast implants, if that's what
yep.
you call it,
Yep.
and stretch the skin to get it, big enough so they're able to do something with the skin to work with it. Yeah.
Yep. See, it's like you're a doctor already.
Hey, it's time to go again. The program's over. So
There
no,
you
I'm kidding.
go.
All right, I'm kidding. So
Yeah.
all right.
But it
So
was
yeah, I was wondering, yeah, do you lose yourself, maybe not your self-worth, but your identity, I guess,
yeah.
as a female, because now you look in the mirror and you go, I don't have breasts, you
Yeah.
know. Um, yeah, I could just see, I definitely could see you looking in the mirror the first time, how stunned you are.
Oh,
I
yeah.
could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I won't show them obviously here, but I do have the book. But what I did, because of that powerful experience with that woman in the bathroom, I took photos of my journey, like throughout the whole process.
Hmm.
Right. So when I was 3 days out and flat chested with some really ugly Frankenstein stitches. And then slowly I took photos and shared them in the book of that expansion process and to what it looks like today. And I think that was really powerful. And it's been the thing that women have really appreciated. Super vulnerable for somebody like
Oh
me,
yes, yeah.
but when I went into my physician, he's like, "Well, here's what's going to happen. We're going to, like you said, we're going to put in this like kind of balloon thing. It's going to stretch. It's going to heal. Blah blah blah." I was like, "So what is that going to look like? Do you have any pictures?" And he's like, "No, ma'am, I don't have those. Most women don't want
Yeah.
to share that." And I was like, "Well, I'll do it."
Yeah, I was
And
going to say, but you don't have to share their name and their face. You're just showing the reconstruction of the
yeah,
breast, So I'm surprised they didn't have
I'm,
pictures to show
I
this
know,
day and age. I'm
right,
surprised. I
right,
mean, again, you can do the whole series by 50 to 100 different women and just don't put their name out there. I doubt anybody's going to recognize their breast, out in public.
I know, yeah,
So,
yeah, super. I mean, that's the thing
well,
is like it's
even if that's what they're thinking, all
right,
right, just take the Tennessee women with theirs showing the step-by-step thing and send all of them to California. What's the chance of them people in Tennessee going to be in California if they're worried
right,
about, and again, no names, no faces, and then
yeah,
California send to New Jersey. You know what
right,
I'm saying?
yeah.
But I'm surprised that with this technology and day and age. All right,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. It
No,
just
no, it's just, I
making me
mean, me
making me want.
too.
I'm
And
just
it's
baffled on that one.
me too. And, it's really hard to find, I call them like safe photos on the internet, right?
Hmm.
Because, you should never Google any of these things. Trust me. So I just really wanted to have an authentic, transparent, and vulnerable resource for women to just, take home this book and, read it in the privacy of their own home and just really ground themselves on what it's going to be like and know that it's going to be okay. And and not everyone has that journey. And I just want to be honest, like some women choose to stay flat, and that is an absolutely awesome choice.
Oh yeah.
And some women choose differently, and that's okay. But for those who make this one, I just want to be able to be a guide and walk beside somebody.
Yeah, each your own, however you
Absolutely.
feel best for you. Don't feel shameful about it. Don't be, yeah, that's your decision. Do what you think's best for you. Okay. Don't,
Yeah.
what I've never understood is as a woman says, I'm getting these breast implants because my boyfriend wants,
Yeah.
and then the boyfriend leaves in 5 years, and then she's hating what she did, but she did it because of him. No, people, men, women, do it because you want to do something, not to impress or make your partner happy. Because if they're not there till you die, you're not going to be happy if you did it just for them. Do it for yourself,
Oh,
whatever it is.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll give my husband a lot of credit. We were making all these decisions, and I said, are you okay with that? And he said, listen, honey, I didn't marry you for just your breasts, right? Like it's just a body part. So he's a
Yeah,
keeper. He's a keeper.
there we go. I'm glad he's a keeper. Now, when did all this take place? What year?
So this was in 2017, no,
Okay.
2018. So it's been about 8 years.
Yeah,
And
it's still relatively young. So,
yeah,
yep,
yeah.
you
And
definitely got a good man
I got a good
to
man.
recognize that yeah, he didn't go after you for your boobs only. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's good. So all
Yeah.
right, and now let me ask this question here. I was thinking, um, you were talking about, and I mentioned it was because your mind being positive. You already putting a plan together to move forward, get the mastectomy done with, everything like that. It's my choice. It's more powerful. Feel
Yeah.
that way. But no, and I'll explain in a minute the reason I'm asking this. Did any of this result to thinking about your children? The reason I'm saying this, I've had two or three other women they were suicidal, and
Oh,
they said that it wasn't for cancer, and they just down in life and getting
yeah.
beat up by life, and they had thought suicide, but they said they couldn't do it because they didn't want to leave their children behind, and them thinking mom died for suicide or whatever. And their children, I said, so your children actually saved your life, with you putting them in first over your suicidal tendencies. So
Yeah.
did your children at any point play, any impact on your thoughts on this too as well? Do you
Oh,
think the whole family, or you know what I'm saying?
absolutely. When I was diagnosed, my children were 3 and 7.
Yeah.
So really, really young. And, if I think back to my mother died when I was 29 years old, and that was
Hmm.
still really young, but I at least had her in my life for 29 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if I hadn't made the choices that I've made, who knows where I would be today. My kids were so young. I wanted to live and made sure that I was around for as long as I possibly could for them.
Yeah.
And, do I think about my daughter? Oh, you bet. So now
Oh
her mother
yeah, you
had
got a
breast
daughter, so now,
cancer.
well, even men can get breast cancer. So,
Yeah,
but you
absolutely.
have that gene that you wonder if you passed. Now they can do early detection with DNA nowadays, can't they?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just whether people want to know it or not.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been tested, and I actually ironically don't have the gene. Um,
Oh wow,
but
okay.
I know, isn't that funny? Because they were saying, oh, if you have the gene, then you have a higher risk. But
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly. That's what I would think. Inherit that, but you
yeah,
didn't. But you did inherit that.
yeah, exactly. So, but
So
my kids will have the choice to get tested at some
yeah.
point, whether they have the gene or not. And it is, it can skip a generation and all those things. So,
Hmm.
I do think about it. My daughter has asked me, she's now 15, right? And has asked me, well, mom, am I going to get breast cancer? It's a really hard question.
Yes,
Um,
it is.
And I said, you know what, honey, honestly, I don't know. And I said, they're working on lots of good research. And when it's your time, we will make sure that you get mammograms early and all the things. And, certainly I hope that there is a cure by then. I hope that
Oh
when
yeah.
an adult. So, but it is something that I think about.
Well, not as only that a hard question for a 15-year-old. It shows you what she's thinking.
Yeah.
My grandmother had it, mom had it. Am I going to? So it shows you where she's thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. So hard question for her, but definitely a hard question for you to answer. And the correct answer is, like you said, I don't know. That's you and your body and however cancer works, and how many people in life never get cancer, but how many people do. So it's we don't know. Yeah. So you answered it correctly.
Yeah.
Good way is I don't know, but we will test when it's appropriate to try to give you the best chance possible.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I tell you what, you're all right for a mama.
I'm
So
trying. I'm not perfect, sadly, but I do put forth as much effort as I can.
they say there's only one perfect one that walked through the earth here and everything, Jesus and everything. But I wouldn't want to be perfect, because then I think that would take a lot of the gameplay out. You
Yeah.
know, So, and not to say Jesus didn't have the game playing, plan going and everything, but I think things would be boring if everything was always going to according to plan. And
Yeah.
so
Perfection is boring.
that's right. It can be. Yes, I would think. So, not that I've ever been, and I've been told plenty of times I'm not. So, all right, Erica. Wow. And now let me ask you this other question. Now, you've got a great disposition. I mean, you're humor, you're positive, and I understand you're on the other side of what you went through.
Yeah.
And I understand, like you said, it wasn't a perfect day all the time that you had your down and bout and everything. We're all going to have those.
Yeah.
Now, did you develop this type of attitude, being positive, powerful during this, or did you have it early in life and it
Mm,
would just manifest this is the way it's going to be?
That's a really good question. I think I've always been an element of glass half full, right? That's just something I've been probably most of my life. But I will say in the last couple of years, post diagnosis, I have actually done a lot of work on myself and a lot of research. I even took a couple of, sort of immersion classes on just how to transform, how to be a better person. And, a lot of the things I learned is it's about mindset. And so I think I've probably built upon what I had a foundational, preference towards, that glass half full of life. But
Hmm.
I've really been reflecting deeply on the power of choice and,
Yeah,
how much I get to choose how I show up, how I think about things. And again, I'm not always perfect,
exactly.
but this is something that I would say has grown out of my diagnosis because I mean, there is nothing that changes you more than, a cancer journey, but
Hmm.
also, the kind of the mental fortitude it takes to get through something like that, the resilience that has changed me and has made me only stronger and more confident and more optimistic. Because if you can get through some of the things I've been through, I think, everyday challenges seem a little bit less daunting.
Isn't it a shame that we're talking cancer here, but again, we substitute cancer for homelessness, heart failure, something we could substitute for something else
Yeah.
going bad, and people have gotten through it. But
Yes.
there's a bunch of things that we sit back and go, man, I don't know if I can do that.
Right.
Homelessness. I'm in a wheelchair and stuff. I don't know if I can be homeless and live out on the street and hope I get to lay down and get a good night's sleep and have to worry about getting back in my chair and stuff. So it's amazing that things we know we would fight for, but
Yeah.
then there's other things you're going, I'm sorry y'all going through it, but I don't want to experience that.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah.
um back to the glass half full now, and then I'll give you my on it. So I hadn't really looked it up. Is the question is I know they take water, put it in a glass, And is the question, is it half full or half empty?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And you look at it half full.
Yep.
Okay. That's the positive outlook.
Yep.
And if someone says it's half empty, then supposedly they're on the negative outlook.
Yep. Yeah.
I've come up with a third answer.
Oh.
Not only is it half full, it's overly abundantly full.
Oh. Yes.
What's in there? Water,
Yep.
then air, oxygen, everything else is in there, and that's overflowing the top of the glass because it's surrounded with air and oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, everything else there. So my third answer is not only half full, but it's overabundantly full.
Yes.
So,
And that is probably the greatest tool you have in your toolbox on perseverance, is seeing the abundance in everything, even when it's hard and even when, you can't. I mean, gratitude is, so I would say, I stole this from somebody, gratitude fixes everything. It really does.
it can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely can. I remember when I had that diagnosed with me, again, it was a false positive, but someone questioned me, how can I be so positive about what I'm looking? And this is where I found that was a false positive. And I said, man, I figure I'm a winner either way. If they say, hey, you only got 4 months, 5 months, 6 months to live, hey, that gives me 6 months to tell the people I love them, thank them for everything they've done for me, and try to again be as positive and help the next person before I die. But if they say, and of course, they know I'm going to be with Jesus and everybody else, but I said, it gives me time to thank people and tell them how much I love them and appreciate everything done. Or if they say, hey, you got another 20 years, now I've won again, because now I said, so I figure I'm in a win-win. And the guy he said, I couldn't be like that. So to me, I didn't question him, but to me, shows me where his faith may be lacking. I didn't question him. I just told him, said, well, I just hope you don't have to experience it. But to me, we have that faith. We know what the outcome is and where we're going to be.
Yeah.
Then, yeah. No, we don't want to leave early. I understand that. But we get a bad diagnosis, a bad call. We do the best we can. Move on. That's my little motto on the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes you abundantly glass half full.
Let me tell you what, now you mentioned perseverance more than once, and I can't give you a fist bump every time, but let's see if I can give you this high five. No, let me go to this other button. Don't go anywhere. Got this other button over here. Now I'll give you a high five.
Oh, I love it. Oh, Woody and Buzz. There you go.
There you go. So, all right, Erica Ward, you have been just a joy, and man, you fired me up and motivated me to go out to spend the rest of the day to pass on and tell people your story and what I experienced today when I get out. That this is why I do these podcasts. Is selfishly, it gets me pumped up because I'm learning other people surviving and wanting to help other people, and so then unselfishly we can help the world. So
absolutely. I mean, what is it? Kindness matters, and a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle.
There we go. That's right. Spreading the light.
Yes.
So, all right, go ahead and man, I enjoyed you so much. Hey, there's one. There's two. Hey, buddies, how's it going there?
Good.
All right, welcome to the show. What's your name? Go and tell the world, man.
I'm Duncan.
Duncan, nice to meet you.
I'm Will.
Will?
Yeah.
All right. I'm the professor of perseverance. I'm telling you right now, guys, y'all got a good mom, and y'all need to be grateful. And I know she is grateful that y'all are with her.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
yeah. I mean, these are the reason we do it all, right?
That's right.
Future generations.
I don't have any children, but I do have a cat, and I want to get another service dog. Let them do their generation pool. But yeah, the reason we do what we do is to put out the next generation to make the world a better place.
You
know,
bet.
we can't clean the world up, but we can make our world as strong as possible and then do the old ripple effect that is going to affect other people around our world. So,
Yep. Well, children is the best way to have that ripple effect, right, Duncan?
Yeah.
Right, Will? Yeah. These guys are great. I'm glad I
all
got
right.
to share that kind of wisdom with these guys, and I hope you all can share it with your listeners and everybody else.
So, all right, Duncan, Will, thank y'all for showing in. Erica, Mama, go ahead and tell everybody how we can get a hold of your book, any of your
Yes.
social media, if anybody wants to get a hold of you.
Yes. So you can find my book on Amazon or Atasca Books. Also, I would love people to reach out on my website, which is my full name. You see it at the bottom. It's www.ericanewbertcampbell.com. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and I love hearing from people. So send me a direct message on any of those social channels, or there's a contact me page on my website. And on my website also is a bunch of resources, support communities, and even a guide. If you're facing a mastectomy, what are the top 10 tips? I've got some journal prompts. Please visit my website and check it out and reach out. I would love to hear. I respond to all messages. I love hearing from everybody.
And everybody do the old Googling if you need to. But
Yep.
I will put these, your social media and website in the show notes to make it easier for people. So, Erica, thank you for being here. Hey, we know people are hurting and struggling today. And if you could leave us with a positive message, that'd be a blessing.
I want to say to anybody who's in a struggle, you are not alone. There is always somebody out there that is willing to support you, and you just have to find your people. So again, you are not alone.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. To me, that is a strong characteristic. Because when I first got injured, I would never ask for help because I was so independent beforehand. And when I first got in the wheelchair, I'd take 30 minutes getting my shoes on, and then I'm ready to take a nap
Yeah.
instead of going to my mom or brothers, whoever. Hey, could you get my shoes on? They have them on in 4 minutes. Then we can go out and do whatever we need to do. But I would struggle. Now I'm ready for a nap. So I have learned it is a strong characteristic to ask for help than the old sinful pride of not asking. And people want to help, like you just said, Erica. People
Yeah.
want to help, but they don't know how if you don't ask.
Absolutely. Yes. Always be confident in asking for what you need, because you are not alone, and everybody is in a struggle and everyone is willing to support you.
Amen, sister. All right, Erica, thank you for being here. Everybody else, hey, share this with someone you know can use this as a nice motivational, inspirational survival story. So we'll be able to share this with someone else. Hey, I'm the doctor of, no, I'm not the professor of perseverance, Dr. James Purdue. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis.